Okay, at this point, this is part 3 of the cell notes. There are 4 parts if you looked forward into the note packet. At this point, you should have accomplished, finished, completed the organelle cell game on that website that's on the end of part 1 of the notes. That is to be, remember your job is to do all 4 of the games on that website and then take that final quiz or assessment at the end. Then you're going to get to the sheet that shows your scores. You screenshot that or take a picture of it with your cell phone, and you're going to add that to the end of this note packet. You don't have to print it, you can just add it to the PDF file, or you can even submit it as a separate file along with this one file of notes here, okay, one PDF file here. So either way, make sure you get that done. Then the other part 2, the end of part 2 was to color the 2 different cells, the plant cell and the animal cell, and make sure that it's all labeled, okay? And those look like this. You know what they are, okay? And then the bell work for today, you were supposed to review, because you haven't seen it in a while, the top of page 10 is a test yourself. So you were supposed to do that as your bell work today, okay? And here we are, slide 27 at the bottom of page 10. Comparing again, continuing to compare and refresh and remind and just kind of drill it into your head so that you do really well on the unit test that's coming up, not this week. Comparison of the animal and plant cell. We're still doing that comparison, okay? So the general shape, you can see animal cells are typically round, where plant cells are kind of rectangular, and they have corners or edges rather than circular. You could have said circular or geometric, perhaps. I'm not sure. Well, a circle is a geometric shape, right? But angular maybe would be a good general term for that. Okay, so yeah, I mean that's because of the cellulose in the cell walls of the plant cell, right? Cell wall. Okay, so do they have a cell membrane? They both have cell membranes, right? We know that animals don't have cell walls because we can do this and we don't hear a snapping sound, okay? Because our cells are flexible, whereas the plant cells aren't as flexible. Yeah, you can bend a branch without a green branch without it breaking, but you're still doing damage where you're bending that branch. Or a leaf, you could bend a leaf a little bit, you know, leaves wave in the wind, but if you take a leaf and a green leaf and you fold it in half, you're gonna see along that half a whole bunch of broken cells, okay? Because you're breaking the cell walls open. So plant cells have those cell walls. Chloroplasts, those, remember, are the organelles that take sun energy and convert it to glucose. Do we have that? Do animals have that? No, but plants do. Centrioles, we haven't really discussed those yet, but yes and no. And vacuoles, yes and yes, but the animal ones are small and floating around, the vacuoles. The plant ones are typically very large, and you may have more than one. You may have 2 or 3 of them in some cells for storage of water and sugar that they make. All right. So now we're going to move on to unicellular versus multicellular. We've been doing plant versus animal for a couple days now. So now we're going to do unicellular versus multicellular. From the first part of the notes, we talked about what unicellular, cellular, and multicellular means. Uni means one, like a unicycle has one wheel, and multi means many, okay? So both organisms perform a variety of life functions. In multicellular organisms, like us, or an oak tree, or a whale, or your pet cat or dog at home, okay? The cells are organized into tissues and organ systems, we discussed that last time, which perform life activities. In a unicellular organism, like this paramecium here, this is a diagram of one. This is an actual paramecium swimming using those little oars called cilia to propel itself through the water. Organelles perform all the activities. They don't have organ systems like a multicellular organism. All of these things are their organs, and this is their whole life. And they swim around and they eat things. This is the things. Little particles of organic matter, tinier organisms. The cilia wave and it pulls in food into this, it's not a mouth, it's called an oral groove. And then it goes into and making these food vacuoles, which transport them around and break down the food into usable energy, okay? So you're going to complete this chart by comparing humans, multicellular, and paramecia, which is plural for a paramecium. So for humans, list the organ system or the organs, all right? And for the paramecium, list what organelles perform the activities described. And it's the same organelles that are in other cells that we learned about. So you may have to look back in your notes to get this right. So I'll go over the first one for you, okay? So this is what in a human being separates and protects organisms from the environment. The skin. This is the organism. This is the environment. This is what protects us. Protects our internal from the external. Okay? What protects the internal from the external in a single-celled organism? If you said cell membrane, you were correct. Movement from place to place. We just went over this. Obviously, muscles and bones. We're talking about a leg is not an organ per se, okay? It's made up of organs. Yeah? All right. So muscles and bones propel you. If you didn't have any bones, you'd just be a blob that probably would suffocate and you wouldn't be able to move very much, twitch and whatever. You wouldn't be able to support yourself in any way, you know? And if you didn't have any muscles, of course, you would just be skin-covered bones and you wouldn't be able to move because you'd have no power, right? Cilia. We just showed you an animation of the cilia propelling the paramecium from one place to another. Coordinates and controls activities. This one should be pretty easy. Think about it, okay? Yes, the brain, all right? The brain, and then what's the brain? What's the control center of a cell? Right, the nucleus. So you got the point here. Okay. So you're going to continue to do this. after the notes are over. Make sure you're working with a partner, okay? And we'll be back. Okay. Moving on to microscope. Oh, actually, we're not doing microscopes. This is going to be next time. So we're going to escape that. All right, so this is the part of notes we're working on now. You're going to use the rest of the class period to use these terms and any more that you can come up with to fill in this Venn diagram as completely as possible, comparing again a plant and animal cell. And then how does a plant cell relate to your school? So you're going to, in the first column, what is the function of these organelles in the plant cell? And then who or what at school has a similar job, okay? So you're going to go, you discuss this with the people at your table and determine which person or what object does these functions at school, for our school, okay? So that's what you're going to be working on now.